right.
Hey, welcome to the Help Us Understand podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Josh.
And here's where we talk about all sorts of fun things, folks. Talk about things that we don't understand, things that we think we understand that we don't, or things that we need your help on.
Now, this particular episode is one where I'm just going to sit and be taught because I don't look into this bullshit because it makes me think too much and that gives me headaches.
Nah.
You know about all this kind of stuff and you're going to talk about it. But before we get into anything like that, I have for us a brand new episode of Times of Fast Food Bullshit. I had another fast food fucking thing.
Oh, boy.
Well, not just fast food,
here
any
we
fucking
go.
restaurants. Well, can we say it? McDonald's. Okay, I went to McDonald's.
Okay, yeah. Mhm.
So I went to McDonald's and just how...
After the cup of water, I didn't think you'd be back for at least a month.
Well, here's the thing. This has something else to do with water. Just hang on.
Oh, my God.
I am convinced, and you'll hear the story, and you'll know why. I'm convinced. By the way, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Sorry, I completely forgot. It's the holidays.
Yeah.
We just got past Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're thankful. Okay, what's next?
Right. So I go through the drive-thru, right? And normally I can probably put in my order in the mobile order. It's not a problem.
Yeah. It's a fantastic way to get your food nowadays.
Yeah, but it just takes, again, it's letting computers take over. Have it. You can have it.
Yeah.
So I go through the drive-thru and I order, what did I get? Like 2 cheeseburgers, and I ordered a medium, I literally said a medium cup of water with no ice. And she was like, okay, anything else? And I was like, no, that's it. And she was like, well, I can't, I'm going to have to ring that water up as an extra sauce packet because I'm not allowed to. And I stopped her because I didn't want to hear it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Because an extra sauce packet's like 25 cents. I just wanted a fucking cup of water. So my theory is, so few people come to McDonald's fast food restaurants and order water. They don't know what to fucking do when somebody orders water. Clearly. Like, do they not have water? Do they not have a water button that they can press when you order?
We know that.
We do. They did back when we were doing this shit.
All right, challenge.
But this person
everyone who listens to our podcast, your challenge is to go to McDonald's, doesn't matter where, and order a cup of water.
We want to know how much.
Email us your experience. Yeah. Tell us how much it was. Did they charge you for a full cup of soda?
How
or
did they
like
serve
that,
it to you?
Yeah.
What was the cost?
Did they stutter? Did they freak out? We need to know.
We need to know if there's some kind of conspiracy.
There's a water crisis going on
Seriously.
at McDonald's.
Okay, well, so I get up and the burgers were right and stuff. Water has fucking ice in it. And it was large. So it was like nothing as to what I ordered. I mean, it was just the wildest thing.
Be grateful you got a large.
Well, I got cool. I mean, it was water.
And ice, nice cold, you know?
No, I always get no ice. The drink comes out cold.
Kind of.
The ice
Sometimes.
takes over. They're robbing me of drink.
Yes.
By putting ice in
But
my
isn't
cup.
ice just water and it melts down?
Yeah, but I ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
How do I drink water? Do I sip?
No.
Right.
This is how he sounds. I mean, it's just like a whole bottle in about 3 seconds.
I love water. Yeah. I love any drink. I cannot. I can.
But water.
If I sip, I get no satisfaction. That's why I gulp. We were at home and I was drinking water and I was just happened to finish the glass and I was like, oh, so good. And my mom was looking at me and she was like, if you start dating again, don't do that. And I was like, I don't think I would. I said I'll have to get past the first couple rounds first.
First date, chug it and I go, oh yeah, that's good.
And she'd be like, I never thought I'd meet another person that did that.
And she picks up her glass.
Oh, good. Like, oh God.
This is it. Found it.
I found it. Okay. Also, milestone of the podcast. We got our first listener email.
Hey.
Thank you ever so much. They didn't give us a name. It just says, best regards, your boy. So thanks, your boy.
Yeah,
appreciate
your boy.
it. Yeah. So here's what it says. It says, hi, Zach and Josh. I just finished listening to your Are We in the Matrix episode, and I wanted to reach out and share some thoughts. It was such an engaging discussion, and you both did a fantastic job of exploring the layers of what it meant or might mean if we're living in a simulated
real fantastic job.
I was going to say, this person might be a little sarcastic. I'm not sure. One thing that struck me, though, was how similar that concept of a simulated universe is to the Christian worldview. Christianity holds that we are created beings existing within a reality that was designed and is sustained by a God. In a way, the idea of a simulation or the Matrix feels like a modern lens on the ancient belief, a different vocabulary, but similar themes of purpose, control, and reality beyond what we see. While the Matrix idea has this tech-centered, almost dystopian edge, the Christian perspective presents a creator who knows and cares for each individual in the quote-unquote simulation. It's interesting how we keep circling back to questions about creation, purpose, and the idea of a higher authority shaping our world, even as technology advances and introduces new ways of imaging or imagining reality. Thank you again for the thought-provoking episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how matrix theory and traditional beliefs like Christianity might be more connected than we initially seem. Yeah.
Mr. Ya boy, you better buckle up because this episode is going to dive right into
I
that
will
shit.
say, very well written email.
Yeah.
This guy's got some word. This is a word on
One of the videos we just watched literally links all that.
Wait, it's so funny, yeah, because you showed me those videos and then we got the email. And it's so I agree with what he's saying.
Yeah.
It does, because when I was reading that, the one thing that made me think that what he was saying, that makes sense, a connection that I had never put together. What you were saying in that episode was, if enough people have the idea of something or think something, you can quote unquote think it into being.
Right.
So many countries, so many different ethnicities, so many different types of people and religions and stuff all talk about certain things. The Great Flood.
Yep.
How long it lasted.
Yeah.
The resurrection. All this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a coincidence. If enough people thought about it, I'm not saying we materialized it.
But if
I'm
we were in
saying,
the Matrix, we've created it based on our belief, right?
yeah, but
It's
what would
become real based
yeah,
on
but
our
I
belief.
guess my question would be why? What would provoke that thought? Something would initially
Something must have happened that was
like, did humanity
least-
need to know our purpose on Earth enough?
Or maybe those stories were so true that they carried down generation to generation, and it was literally like, this is what happened. There's proof.
Well, is it true?
We
Or
know the
was it
flood
or-
is.
Well, yeah, we know the flood was. There's geographical
Right.
evidence
and that's
of that.
in every religion.
Right.
But that begs other questions. How is it in every religion? You know what I mean?
Like, did so many
How's it
people
baked
randomly?
into-
Did so many
yeah.
people align with this thought?
Because if you look at the Bible, it was Noah's Ark, not Hulin and Joaquin and Joe's Ark.
What if it
was
was-
Noah's Ark.
what if it was JoJo's
Right?
art?
So if all these other people in these other countries have this story built in, it also begs the question of where did all these different nationalities come from? Because if Noah and his family were the only people to survive, well, there would only be these brownish colored people on Earth. That's it. There wouldn't be Asian. There wouldn't be Mexican. There wouldn't be white. Those wouldn't exist. I don't even think there would be African. It would just be Middle Eastern. That's it.
No, and that goes again into evolution. Your skin color can be based on like how much
So,
how melanin is.
In 200 years, one of Noah's great-great-grandchildren was like, wow, I'm a little pale today. Moved off to another country.
If they lived in an
And then
area that didn't have a lot of sunlight,
it doesn't work that much.
that's what evolution is.
There are pictures literally from people living here in the 1800s, okay? We
Yes.
have pictures, and they're white as daylight, and so are we. It's been 200 fucking
So
years.
we're all descendants of Noah, is what you're saying.
I'm saying if that's true.
If
That story is true, but that's why I'm asking, other religions have the same story, then there must be a Noah's Ark or a Hulin or a JoJo's Ark.
But I think what he's
elsewhere.
I think what he's saying though is the Matrix thing. We create it in our mind, and if that materializes what we're thinking, what is Christianity and religious belief based on? Faith.
Right.
Isn't that a form of faith?
But then this would have had to have been created a while ago. You
Of
know what I
course.
mean?
Well, yeah.
To actually like, we know the flood was real, but to what extent and where it was,
The
we
thoughts,
don't know.
but I'm just using the flood as an example.
Right. We could talk about like the resurrection of Jesus.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. There's so much of the different. Well, yeah, all
That
of
could be something that happened to someone that maybe represented Jesus.
Right.
And it was through faith that everyone then forward believed that that's what it was, and that's really what it became.
and it's going to have to
It
carry.
became that way because that's what we created in the Matrix, if we're in the Matrix. Right? We created it.
Sure.
You're going to get lost on this episode.
I'm already lost. So so here's the thing. Really, what this episode was going to be, and it still is, and that's why I'm going to let Zach kind of take the reins on this, because I don't fucking know. Conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of conspiracy theories. The vast majority of them, in my opinion, are absolute and utter horse goblets.
Yeah, they can be.
I don't know what that is, what I just said. I meant to
Horse
say
goblets, the horse shit. You
horse
know?
shit. Yeah, but why did I say horse
Goblets?
goblets?
It's like shit comes out in the shape of a goblet.
It's like balls. Maybe I was thinking balls and came up with goblets.
Gross.
I don't know, but either way, it's bullshit in my opinion.
Well,
And but the connection of what we're talking about, and that's so funny that email came through like that, because what you just showed me, that video you just showed
is
me,
like a really good description.
it was like a really detailed video, 6 minute. How long was it?
It's like 7 minutes.
Like
but I've watched a couple other ones. I dug down a rabbit hole.
So
when
try,
I saw it.
if you can, to sum
it up. That's gonna be hard because I don't remember all of the people's names. So bear with me.
Okay.
Don't fact quote, check me, whatever.
No, definitely.
You can look
into
this,
Yeah.
absolutely, but don't you be like, the fuck man, Zach fucking
Right.
You know. Okay. So if you're familiar with the Sumerians, which are mentioned in the Bible, you may kind of be able to follow this a little bit. So there's apparently a race of, we'll call them aliens, but don't think of them as aliens. Think of them as like demigod people called the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki apparently come from a planet called Nibiru, and Nibiru was running out of resources for some reason several thousand years ago. Like he said, like 445,000 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
They came to Earth because their planet revolves around our solar system and comes by into our immediate vicinity every 3,600 years.
Yeah.
They came down to collect water and gold because gold apparently restores their planet. But they had slaves called Agigi. Agigis? Agigi or Gigis.
Yeah.
And for 250,000 years, they had been slaves and were sick of it and revolted. And the Anunnaki said bye-bye and wiped them all out.
Right.
And one of the, I don't know the name, the head Anunnaki guy told one of his sons to make a race of
slaves
slaves to do their bidding. And so he did genetic engineering with Homo erectus, which is our monkey people, monkey men or whatever, and then made humans out of that to become slaves to collect this gold and water. One thing to know is gold is a very valuable resource to us on this planet.
Right.
We use it for a lot of things. We store it away. You know, gold is very valuable. So with this, as they were doing this, some of the Anunnaki, the lesser Anunnakis, I'm assuming, bred with these new humans because they found them attractive or whatever.
Well, they were told not to, though.
They were told not to.
Yeah.
It was a restricted thing, and apparently gave birth to giants. Now, pause. We know in every religious story there are giants. We know there have been fossils found of people that claim to be giants.
I have seen one or two articles, but to be honest, I would like to see more.
I would too.
Because to me, that's like
the ones that I've seen.
That also goes into the deep Earth.
It does, yeah.
The deep Earth theory,
Agartha,
which is a whole nother episode.
It is. But, you know, according to us, giants are around 9 to 13 feet. We don't know what they could have been. Maybe they were 20 feet. I mean, could you imagine a 20-foot giant standing outside? You'd just be like, well, I'm dead.
I had a buddy that was over 7.5 feet tall.
And that's nuts. Think about 3 times that height.
Yeah,
like,
he could have been ancestors, yeah.
So, so apparently one of the other brothers of the main Anunnaki god's sons was very displeased with the fact that they were breeding with humans and creating these giants. And so what did he do? He caused a flood. And this flood was worldwide, and it was there to kill all of the giants and all of the bad slaves. However, Anunnaki brother number 1, who was good, chose to save certain people on a boat.
Right, to carry further the species.
Carry the species further.
Right.
So then for surviving the flood, they taught them how to live, how to govern, how to build. And from this, you see the Egyptian pyramids. You see a lot of other things that we quite don't 100% understand how they were made today.
Right.
And apparently they deuced out at some point and will be back sometime whenever that 3,600 years. However, NASA has confirmed that a planet called Planet 9 or Planet X.
They call it Planet X, but so where a lot of this was coming from, the guy said that there were scrolls or tablets.
Oh, good point. I did miss
tablets that were found that actually documents a lot of
in
this.
like 1846 or 1852, somewhere in there, mid 1800s. They found 1,400 of them in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
And this was all written down. This isn't just somebody made up some bullshit. They were on stone tablets from thousands and thousands of years ago.
Right.
Which maybe someone thousands of years ago decided to make up a story and go, ha, how funny would this be in 20,000 years? I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, the alignments with
it holds
the Great
up.
Flood,
yeah,
and the fact of that what it was saying, the reason why the Anunnaki only come every 3,600 years because of how their orbit around the sun goes.
Yep.
Well, NASA, what they've shown with this Planet X, and apparently they've been tracking it for years and a long time and confirmed its existence, kind of goes in that same orbital
3,600
pattern.
years. Yeah,
Right,
it's almost
you know,
the exact size
yeah.
or exact time frame.
So really, what the conspiracy is, or what the theory is, I should say, is our purpose on this planet
Was to be slaves.
was to be slaves. Now, one thing that he also did mention was what we're to be slaves to this higher race.
Right. Yeah.
Now, one thing he also did mention is that they also picked certain people to be
Right.
kings and queens and stuff of the certain people who and would generationally continue down their path. And he used the example of the royal family, the Freemasons,
Illuminati.
the Illuminati, all
Yeah,
that stuff
the
that we hear about.
Rothschild, family.
Right. And so
People who own the world,
yeah.
essentially.
And, what we call the shadow government and what we call like the behind the scenes,
Yeah.
higher ups and stuff, maybe that could potentially be an evolution of what kings and queens and stuff with power used to be.
Right, because let's assume, now you know me, I'm going to bring this back up.
Right.
The CIA and the government have been trying to prepare the public slowly for the year 2027. We don't know what's going to happen that year. Maybe it's bullshit. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe 2027 is that 3,600 year trajectory path, and they're coming on back. Because think about it. We've gone through quite a time period where we have history written down that we can mostly account for. And that's over 2,000 years now.
So let's say the theory has some merit and these Anunnaki are coming back.
We're all going to die.
Well, why? But that's what I'm saying. What they come back, what are they going to do? They're just like, we don't like this here now?
No, they're going to go, we need water and gold. We expect all of you to get this for us, and then we leave. And and as payment, we'll teach you a new level of society.
They're going to show up and say, hey, so you may or may not know that your ancestors were slaves for us and they collected a whole bunch of stuff. It might be an inconvenience, but we're going to need you to pick that up again.
Pretty sure they're not going to speak like that.
Well, no.
It's probably going to be like, whoa. I mean, but how
That's
terrifying
that's a
is
terrifying
that?
thought.
Because
That's a terrifying
we're
thought.
not real. And like he mentioned in his video that the genetic engineering, Bob Lazar, who's one of the most famous UFO alien whistleblowers in the world, had a whole clip where he was talking about.
Well, he was talking about a classified document.
He said it's a thick classified document that almost no one's allowed to even see.
And he looked so, and when he was asked about this,
kind of annoyed.
He looked so uncomfortable.
Yes.
And really didn't want to answer. And the guy kind of completed the answer for him.
Yeah,
And he was like,
we're kind of genetic
engineering?
mutation.
And he was like, yeah.
He was like, yeah. He said it's hard to swallow.
Yeah, he said it's a hard pill to swallow.
How do you even, like, someone like that as a whistleblower, let's just say he was making it up. That's scary to make that up.
Yeah, and this is not some farmer out of fucking nowhere coming out and saying this. Bob Lazar is a very intelligent person. Ex-military man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you ever listen to some interviews with this guy, he knows what he's talking about.
He has no reason to lie.
No, why would he?
He's been raided by the FBI, the CIA. He's been threatened.
Yeah.
I mean, he almost lost his life multiple times.
Right.
What's really terrifying to me is if you're the Anunnaki, me and Josh are the Anunnaki, right? You and I are going up there. We're not.
We're not there.
We're up there. How do you make a civilization obey for thousands of years?
Fear.
Right. Okay. Fear. And you create religion to keep people from being. You keep people at war with one another.
I don't know.
Keep people in fear of a higher authority.
I will agree with you that the number one cause of war is religion. That's how war started.
How else do you stop a planet from unifying as one?
But if they're real, did they create religion for that reason? I don't think so. I think religion was something that people created to explain our existence. That question has been asked forever. Why are we here? What is our purpose on this planet?
Right.
And I'm not saying religious is constructed by people. I'm saying again, and I'm not saying at all that if you're religious or you believe no, I'm not discrediting anything. I'm simply saying that maybe that could be what religion came from,
maybe.
Or these beliefs of faith came from because people needed an answer.
Yeah,
they needed an
maybe.
answer.
And they
were like,
wanna...
well, what about that big flood? Well, I mean, we don't know what. I mean, it happened, and then the Anunnaki
But
bounced.
This story, what's really difficult is the Sumerians. There's a lot of different data that points back to the Sumerians as the supreme group of people. I don't know how to say it. The supreme country, wherever they were on the planet at the time. Like they were apparently civilizations ahead at their time.
On Earth.
On Earth.
Right. Okay.
And the fact that they're the ones who helped write this information is terrifying because we regard the Sumerians as very historically accurate people. So if they're the ones who wrote this, then do we completely discredit it? Or do we say, well, you know what? There was a flood. There were several people saved and they were taught how to move forward. I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
And there is a planet. We know it revolves around our system every 3,600 years.
Yeah. People
constantly question. We talk about, are we in the Matrix? We're constantly trying to figure out, where are we? What are we doing? Maybe we were just created by these things.
Well, and what's even scarier as well, think of all the things on this planet that we can't explain. The pyramids.
Yeah.
People always talk about how were people back then able to create something like that. Well, this would explain that.
And not only that,
also
but hieroglyphics in the pyramids have aliens.
Well, things that could
Could
that
be
look
aliens.
like
They
UFOs
don't look like
and stuff.
humans.
Well, no. And again, if anybody continues to listen to the show knows that I'm very skeptical.
Yes.
I'm a skeptic. But at the same time, I'm really trying to give the benefit of the doubt. And I'll have to admit, watching that video, it's terrifying.
It is.
Like, what the fuck? What if this is true?
Could you imagine? Like, at some point, we're going to have some big old fuck-off ship come over top. It's going to be bigger than our planet. Probably.
Daddy's home.
Yeah. And they're going to go, gold. And everyone who doesn't bow down and do it, you're dead. And guess what? It's because your life means nothing. There's no afterlife. They've genetically created you to be
for this one purpose.
A pod of getting gold and water.
So if that's the case, they left us here for 3,600 years to evolve and to learn from mistakes
and collect gold.
And that's it. Because we're continuing
to collect gold every country.
That's why its value is so high.
Dude,
what the fuck? It's just I didn't even consider that.
Like all the governments have gold sealed away
at Fort Knox.
Not even just there, but all over
Everywhere.
the world. And it's used in our satellites. It's used in things in space, so that it's right.
So
there.
the higher ups of our world know that they're coming back.
Yeah.
Like, so we need to have the gold.
They're like, we have to have it on reserve.
We
can never get rid of our gold, because if we do,
they're going to come back.
We hope we have enough to keep their planet satisfied. They could just go, whoop.
You know what this is? There was a movie made about this.
Was there?
A Bug's Life. It's the same shit.
Terrifying.
It's the same shit. The grasshoppers come back, and the ants were having to gather all the fucking food for the grasshoppers to come back.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Isn't that scary?
Oh, dude. I don't want it to be true. I don't believe it's true, because that is so.
It's fucked.
Well,
literally.
Do you know why I don't want to believe it, or I don't believe it?
Why?
Because our minds are not capable of grasping something like that. That's what they've always said. I've always heard theories of that. Why? So governments know miles more about aliens and all that kind of stuff. I'm spitting on the fucking mic. Aliens and different planets and stuff than they let us, that they lead on.
Right.
Why don't they tell the public? Because our minds can't grasp it, because it's so out there. And because we don't understand it, it would cause chaos. It would cause mass hysteria.
Yeah. Just imagine, okay, because they've been doing these yearly meetings with Congress about the UFOs and aliens and stuff, and they just had one. Imagine if the word Anunnaki came up in any one of those. I would call you and be like, oh!
They said it, and then the screen went black. They cut it off.
I don't even know what I do.
They cut off the broadcast.
What would I do? I'd be like, well, our life is a pod. We mean nothing. Our lives are here for nothing.
So here's a question. That happens, okay? Let's say that happens. What would you... My first thought is I don't want to know. I want to erase that memory. I do not want to know what if that was the truth, I would not want to know what the truth was. Ignorance is all kinds of fucking bliss, especially in this case.
Yeah, but okay, what if you did know? And let's just
But what are you going to do with that information? You're going to continue to live your life like normal?
You have to, right? You have friends and family who are also pods, but you're at least in it together. You know what I
Just
mean?
because they say Anunnaki in Congress,
If they
in one of
said
those interviews,
if they said we're exploring the
we've been in contact with a group of people called the Anunnaki.
I
would
would
shit. I would lose my shit.
I mean-
I would call you and be like, dude,
in tears.
get all the alcohol, get all the gummies, meet me at the house. Oh, dude, I don't.
But seriously, yeah, if they said anything like that, I think I would have to. We'd have to at some point just go. Well, I mean, we had to keep living, but maybe we'd live a little differently.
I would expect.
Fuck this job.
I would expect some kind of negotiation.
Negotiate with demigods.
Okay, let me put you.
We'll give you 2 toothpicks and a cotton ball.
For you, I make nice special price. No, so okay. You were born right into a royal family.
Okay.
You're raised. Great. You reach like 16, 17 years old or something. Okay. And some of the senior members of your family meet, and they're like, okay, Prince Zach. We
I like the sound of this so far.
Yeah, I bet you did. We were chosen by a group of higher beings called the Anunnaki. We are going to spend the rest of our lives keeping up with what they taught us, and the regular people, or I guess what would you call them?
Peons of the world.
Peasants.
Yeah.
The regular people of this world were created as slaves to serve the Anunnaki.
Okay.
And it is our job to make sure that it is followed through. I think at some point, a member of some royal family or some higher up family,
right,
their conscience will get to a point and be like, I cannot follow up with this.
And that's why they find them dead. I mean, think about that. Oh, there was an accident.
Princess Diana.
There was a car accident.
Joined the royal family.
Yeah, I mean, dude, really, I mean, you don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Why do those random things happening? Aren't they supposed to be like the safest fucking people in the world? They got security. They got private drivers.
Yeah, but they do stupid shit.
I understand that.
Dangerous things.
That's because they're so tired of being tied up. But at the same time, you're telling me just a quick accident and they're gone. Like, that's it.
Right.
Come on now.
Yeah.
They're not a homeless man on 52. You know, I mean, like,
yeah, you're right.
They're well paid. They could pay for any reconstructive surgery ever. They could pay for a new heart, a new liver, a new fucking skull. For all, I mean, really. But they passed. Like, it just seems strange. They let him die because they're like, we cannot have this person.
Well, you think about it too. If you look at the British royal family, for example, they have very little political power. The government is run, or the United Kingdom is run by the government,
right?
But the royal family is just as prominent as it ever was. Is that why it's still around?
Maybe
because it's not for us; it's for the Anunnaki.
And they're one of the oldest. What's it called? Oldest monarchs on the planet right now. Other than maybe the Chinese? Right?
Nah, I think the British monarchy is the oldest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're probably the oldest, but there's only like a couple left. But why are they still here?
So if you're born into a royal family, you get to a point to be like, I don't want to carry this on.
You're dead.
Then you're out.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, it's just...
It's wild. It's wild.
And this is another thing. You could make this become more realistic by going through, and we could dive for another hour and say... Well, let's look at this and let's look at that. Well, this is why so many high-profile government officials who are all part of the dark whatever they're the shadow government. Why they do so many really bad things to people? Because they know people are meaningless. They're worthless. Why do you think there's sex trade and sex slaves? And why do you think there's trading of bodies and a black market where you can sell organs and left and right? Because they
see them as
they see them as pods, which you and I would have to eventually, if we knew that to be true, you and I would still have to walk around and go, we're all just pods. If anyone dies, that's it.
I pray to God that this is not true.
I know. I mean, this is just a conspiracy, folks. All right. I mean, but it can be twisted perfectly to really make sense, and that's what makes it scary.
And here's what's scary about it. I literally watched this video with you. We're at 29 minutes.
Yeah,
I watched this with you 29 minutes ago, and we're already making these connections and stuff, dude. It's fucking
scary.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to not drown everyone in sorrow, let's move on to the next one because I don't want to.
This is some different sorrow.
Yeah, this is very different. This is interesting. So Before I talk about it, let's talk about Admiral Byrd for a brief second, and let's talk about the Agartha theory, just very briefly.
And I've read up on this, but you're the one that got me into it, so I'm gonna let you talk about it.
So in the mid 1900s, Admiral Byrd worked for the military as a I'm losing my mind today.
A pilot?
Yeah, like a
research pilot or something?
No, he was a research pilot. But what Air Force? Air Force. Jesus
Air Force.
Christ. He was in the Air Force, and he was doing research. And he was instructed to go to the North Pole to do some reconnaissance because they were trying to look and see if the Russians had moved north.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so he's up there. He disappears for days. Okay, they considered him dead. He was gone because he was only supposed to be up there and back within a 24-hour period. He didn't have enough gas to make it. So he went up there, and per what he has said, now he has said this in court, and it's in a book. And I don't think he's still alive. His daughter's still alive, though.
He had a couple books, didn't he?
He had a couple, but he was silenced by the government for the rest of his life.
Wow.
After he came back. So apparently he had found at the North Pole a hole in the earth, which was so large that he didn't even realize that it was a hole. He ended up flying into it, and it went for miles, and he figured he's got to just keep going straight because he thought he would end up in Russia or somewhere. He was like, I can't make it back. I'm going to drown in the ocean trying to fly back. So I'm going to just keep going straight, and I'm going to hope that even if it's enemy land, I have a better chance of living. Well, he ends up crashing, and when he wakes up, he is in the middle of this lush, open green area
like
with this very bright orange kind of light coming at him. Like it's like our sun, but not really. And there's this giant that kind of greets him, and he said,
"A giant human?"
Yeah, he said it was like a giant, part human, part like something else.
Right. Okay.
And basically, they were like welcoming. They were like, "Hey, come with us. We'll help fix your vehicle."
They spoke
basically
English?
showed him around. He said they spoke in another language, but through that he could understand. Like it was like he heard them in his mind.
So telepathy.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But they did have their own language that they spoke.
Right.
And apparently they helped him. They taught him their language. They taught him where they were. He said there were mountains that were larger than any mountain that's on Earth. But they said they are in the Earth. Their home is called Agartha, and they have a sun inside of the Earth, which is an orange hue instead of a yellow-white hue like we have.
Right.
And they have resources. They have food. There's thousands of them that live together, and they basically spent days teaching him all about their culture, about where he was, that they met with our governments and had an agreement that no one would cross between the two. Like, no one's allowed to invade them. They wouldn't come to the surface.
We wouldn't go down
Full-on
there.
agreement.
Right.
No, yeah. So after... Sorry, my nose is itching. After he was done and they were like, hey, we got you all fixed up, he flew back. The part that no one can understand is he literally flew back on the same path days later and came back to the military base where he was supposed to come from. And they were like, how the fuck did you get back here? You didn't have enough gas to last that long out there.
Right.
And he was like, I got to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And he went straight into court.
Y'all are not going to believe this.
Yeah, he was like, y'all are not going to believe this.
Yeah.
And basically told his story. And it was a lot more detailed than what I just said. But
Have you read the book?
no, but I would like to.
Yeah.
I would like to. But he drew a map of what everything looked like. And it's this insane fucking thing. What's really scary is the Agartha lines up with where our geomagnetic Earth signals are showing our scientists
Right.
that there is a humongous fucking gap in the middle of our Earth with upside down and right side up mountains, kind of like teeth. But there's like an area in there
'Cause it's a
that's
circle.
over 500 miles wide. 500 miles. So if there was a whole civilization, you wouldn't know. We couldn't see it. But they also said there's different access points. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's the theory of Agartha. So starting with by saying that, leading to this next theory is that there are maps, and this is a fact. There are maps made hundreds of years ago, over hundreds of years, from cartographers from all different cultures around the world, depicting our Earth. Now, what's really cool is that most of these maps line up with where the United States is. It wasn't called the United States at the time, but
Right.
it was North America. You had South America. You had all the continents pretty much close. I mean, they were very close.
Pangea.
Yeah. Well, no. Like our actual, the way it is today.
Oh, I see. After Pangea.
Yeah, the after Pangea,
Right, okay.
as it is today, because
Yeah.
they were exploring the Earth. They were literally going on fucking boats
Yeah.
and mapping the shit out that they saw.
Right.
Well, out of all these different cultures, which some of them never interacted with one another, many maps depict Antarctica, or I'm sorry, the North Pole, as a place where there were 4 islands with a hole in the middle of those 4 islands, and it was like a whirlpool. These 4 islands apparently were inhabited by different people, different types of races of people, and in the middle was a giant black rock with the whirlpool around it, and the giant black rock was like a super magnet.
Huh.
But where that was like a hole in the earth. It was like down. What's funny is, where did that go? So you had, let's just say 100 to 200 different people.
So it's not on our maps today. Is
No.
what you're saying.
It's gone.
But it was on different
From
civilizations maps.
From what we have shown in our maps today is nothing but ice. There's a sign that says all governments of the world have made a statement that no one is to pass into the North Pole. That's a fact.
You can get to the North Pole though.
Parts of it. But you can't get to certain parts of the North Pole and you can't get to certain parts of Antarctica. It's blocked off by a treaty with every country in the world.
I didn't know.
What's really thrown is that when we were entering the war with Ukraine and Russia, Vladimir Putin came out and said, I will end the treaty for Antarctica and the North Pole if need be. Which everyone kind of just went, okay.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of wolves or something or polar bears down there. But why would he threaten something like that in the midst of a potential war? Unless there's something there that he knows all the other governments in the world know is there.
Yeah, but it's clear that if he was to do that, every other government would want to stop him.
Yeah. Right.
So he's just
So back to that point, have they altered our maps so that we can't see what's truly there? Because I've seen videos of people trying to get to both north and south poles, and they get fucking arrested by military. There's military that scope the entire fucking edge.
I've seen multiple TV shows of people going to the latitude and longitude of the North Pole. They're able
of that North Pole. I'm talking about a little bit further than that.
So it's not the physical North Pole.
Right. It's like the north of the actual planet. And Antarctica.
Okay, fair.
But it's just wild to me. My eyes are watered. It's wild to me to think that why did we have hundreds of people in different religions and different cultures write maps that showed the same? Like it was all just slightly off, but the North Pole showed the same thing every single time.
Like they all got together and was like, we're going to put this, but they didn't.
They didn't. They
A
didn't
lot
know
of
how
them
to
didn't
speak to each
communicate.
other.
Right.
Yeah. So how did we go from having a map like that,
Showing this.
showing that was proof of what people were seeing,
Right.
to nope, it's just
Never
ice.
mind.
It's just ice. It's all frozen over.
I mean, it's just another. So let's put the two together. If those, I almost said robots. I don't know why. If those giants are in Agartha, if Agartha's real,
Okay.
what do they have to do with the Anunnaki?
Maybe they are the Anunnaki, or maybe they're the giants that lived from the flood,
From the flood.
and decided
went under.
that they would stay under until the Anunnaki came back.
Dude, this is one of the deeper episodes we've had.
I mean, it's scary. It is, because it goes back to what are we doing? What are we doing?
Well, it's just that same old question. What is our purpose? What are we doing here?
Josh, we got to go dig the mines for some gold, because if they come back, we got to have something to show.
So they're going to come to each individual person
Every
and be like,
house
what do you have?
and be like, gold.
Be like, I've got. And I'll be like,
Show me what you got.
You just start singing at that point. I'd be like, here's my old wedding ring. It's got some gold in it, not really. Damn, man.
Here's some computer. You guys have technology up there?
Yeah. It's like, get that shit out of here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, dude, it's terrifying
I don't know.
think. It's terrifying
What if
to think.
2027 is the year? And that's why they're trying to prepare the people for. That's why they were trying to reduce the population.
So what are we going to do New Year's Eve in 2026?
Honestly, I don't know. Because, I mean, I'm going to try to just be cool and play it off, but I know that whole year I'm going to be like, Like the moment something happens, I'm go, oh, there it is.
At
I'm
midnight,
gonna be jumpy the whole
at
year.
midnight, I'll be on the toilet. So if something
Oh shit!
happens,
Oh shit! Oh shit!
all right, I think that's a good place to end this episode. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I mean, that's some crazy shit.
terrifying.
I mean, what do y'all think about what do y'all think about all these conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
And what's wild is this believed by a lot of people?
I don't know.
This is
I
the
have no
first. Now,
idea.
the Agartha thing I've heard before because you brought it up to me, and I actually ended up doing a little bit of
Because
research into
we had
it.
an Air Force vet who was
talking
talking
about
about
it.
it and was like,
Right.
I was there.
Yeah.
And wrote books, and they silenced me after I got out of the courtroom and said, if I ever spoke, I'd be killed.
Oh, Jesus.
Like the fuck.
Right, so let's not talk about that anymore.
It's real.
Jesus. All right, but I think that's it for this episode of
Yeah.
Help Us Understand podcasts. We're
a
we're
lot
not
of things we don't understand.
And if you're listening to for the first time, we're not always like this.
No,
we
no,
try
no.
to be silly and funny, but
Yeah.
this is some stuff that just is interesting. It's terribly interesting. If someone wrote this, fucking look like a
Thousands of
movie
years
or some
ago?
shit.
Well
yeah.
done.
Oh, seriously.
Well
coming up with some
done.
stuff.
Think about that. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure people had imaginations.
Right.
Everybody does. But your imagination is only built upon what you're able to see and
Yeah.
explore. And if your life is sand and rocks and you come up with that kind of
That
fucking
kind of
story,
stuff. Someone from the heavens come down.
yeah,
And
like
yeah.
Anunnaki and they look like half demigods and they want gold and water. What?
What kind of imagination?
Right, that's
what
what
are you
I'm
smoking
saying.
and where do I get it?
That old fashioned 4,500,000-year-old weed.
That Anunnaki Kush.
Good brand name.
Oh, God. Wow. I wouldn't want to partake.
No.
But as always, you can send us an email at helpuspod@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube, Help Us Understand Podcast. That's our channel. And we're also on all podcast platforms. Please like, subscribe, Google Plus, your sister's ass, all that good stuff.
We're going to do that every time.
Yeah.
We really are.
I think we're going to have to
man.
explain it at some
Yeah.
point. But yeah, that's it for this week.
We will be bringing a guest on in future episodes. I don't
Yeah.
know if it'll be the next one, but it could be either the next one or the following. But we have some things to talk about.
We got to get another mic.
We do need another mic.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to listen in, wants
not
to
sharing
pitch
mine.
in and send us a mic.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Just a mic.
A mic,
Yeah.
just one, no cord.
We can't plug it into the computer. Just one that goes to a wall.
But yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah,
so,
it'll be good.
It was a good episode.
So coming up, yeah, again, helpuspod@gmail.com. That was it for this week. I was Josh.
I was maybe Zach or Pod Zach.
No, you were Zach.
I was Pod
You were
Zach.
Zach. We're not slaves. You were Zach. I was Josh.
I was Zach.
Bye.
Bye.